6 families front all this appellation, so that you drink by families, and within the families, then look into the appellation. I think that's a much easier approach. Now, beside that, there's also a question of then what are all these things called the cru and in Bordeaux? Now, it's something separate. They give you a notions of quality. Okay. Most of the cru in Bordeaux, the name of cru has nothing to do with appellation per se. These are what we call mention given to the wineries. We do have, for example, Saint-Emilion Grand Cru is actually an appellation. It's not a mention given to the winery. So all this, let me just in a very short while just clarify that for you all. Now, the 6 families, Bordeaux families, we have the 6 of them. You can see dry whites, the entry levels, Bordeaux everyday drinking, Bordeaux Superior. That would include things like the Bordeaux Rosé, And we have the Côte de Bordeaux. Now, Côte in French means slope. Okay, there are other meanings for Côte, but here it means the slope of Bordeaux. And certainly the right bank, Saint-Emilion, Pomerol-Fronsac, and the left bank, the Médoc and Cahors. But before you can drink all these banks, you better go to DBS Bank first, because these are the expensive wines. And then come to the sweet wines. So these 6 families. Now, as I shared, these are the 65 appellations from Bordeaux. So how do we map this 65 appellation to the 6 families? I think that's interesting. So what we have done is, let's look at the map of Bordeaux. You have a map of Bordeaux itself. Putting this appellations onto the map. So you'll find all the appellations, like I say, a red is a different appellation from the white, even though they have the same geographical delimitation. Okay? But even this is not easy for you to see the 6 families. So you have to see the 6 families from these appellation maps per se. And this is what you could see the 6 families. So what you see is that the generic Bordeaux, look at the bigger one, the generic Bordeaux itself. These appellations cover actually, from the ground perspective, is entire regions of Bordeaux. Which, that means every winemaker in Bordeaux can make this wine if they so choose to, not red or white. There's no issue. So it's very relaxed. Simple. We think appellation is like a bit of an ISO certification, so it's relaxed. Anyone can do it, but it's just that when you do it, your price point cannot be high because people look at it already, mark it down a little bit because the image of Bordeaux is a enjoyable entry level kind of wine. But for you to upgrade, so where do we drink after Bordeaux Superior? I think if you're looking at something that I would say of a slightly higher level, you may then look at the Côte de Bordeaux. Okay, Côte de Bordeaux are vineyards that are located on slopes, and from the terroir perspective, anything on slopes is better than things on the plain itself, because the vines has to work to get the nutrients. It's not like on the plain or everything flow down, right? So they don't have to work, they get all the water, whatever they want. But then the vines are not stressed. When you're not stressed, then the wine produced will not have that kind of flavor that you are looking for in better quality wines. So the Côte de Bordeaux, as you can see, where they are marked in terms of red color. We have both white and red under the Côte de Bordeaux. And if you go for dry white, so dry white, you will see that down on the bottom left, so the area for dry white and the huge real estate for dry white is Entre-deux-Mers. And so you have Entre-deux-Mers appellations inside there. You have also the Cahors, the Pessac-Léognan appellations under the dry white. So you can see straight away there are some distinct appellation there. I think when you then approach a dry white wine family style, then probably you might want to say that let's start with something more basic. I would take a Bordeaux, so-called start with Bordeaux level, and go on to things like the graph, and then to Précat Union, for example. So to increase your satisfaction after having started with a dry wine. So when we go to what we call something of higher level, let's say in for your rate itself, and you want something that is soft, then you will probably look at what we call your right bank, your Saint-Emilion, Pomerol, François. And there shown on the map there, that will be the appellations included in the purple region. So there you have Saint-Emilion, you have Pomerol, and the satellites of Saint-Emilion. So these are wines from appellation that would give you a style of wine that is of rate soft, but in terms of quality level is higher than the generic Bordeaux, for example. And you want something more robust, then you move over to the left bank and try out something from the Medoc and the Graph for the red wine. So again, something of much higher level, and inside that Medoc and Graph, there are several appellations. So all these sub-appellations all together will form the 65 appellations here. So you can see from the map, appellations can be what they call distinct set from one another, or they can be subset from one appellation to the other. So if I take, for example, take the appellation, say Margaux in the Medoc. So Chateau Margaux can make a wine, and with the appellation Margaux, or you can make a wine with the appellation Haut Medoc, okay, which is then a level lower. Or you can choose to make a wine that is appellation Bordeaux Superior. He can do that because he has the privilege to choose the appellation. But then the problem is, the more stringent you want, the more things you have to do. More generic you want, the cheaper the wine will be. You know, that's the kind of perception you have to play with. That's the reason, for example, explained today, Chateau Margaux have a white wine called Papillon, for example, which is not qualified because it's a white wine and is located in a red wine appellation region. So he cannot take on Margaux appellation, cannot take on a Haut Medoc appellation. He cannot take on a Bordeaux Superior appellation. He has to downgrade himself all the way to a Bordeaux appellation. And the wine is not cheap. So that explains why certain Bordeaux Blanc can be much more expensive than other generic Bordeaux Blanc. Okay? So now I'd like to also share with you a little bit on the changes in Côte de Bordeaux. What we had before is on the left side. We have things like the Premier Côte de Blaye, Côte de Castillon, Bordeaux, Côte de France, and all these names, I think to the consumer can be quite confusing. So sometimes you see the Côte there, sometimes you don't see the Côte there, and then you call them from Côte de Bordeaux. So what we did is to try to get people to come together, form a union, so called a Union de Côte de Bordeaux, and get people into the system and market the wine from this region under the umbrella of Côte de Bordeaux. But today, we have not all joining the ship. So we have Côte de Bourg, Graph de Vraille, and then Blaye. They are still out of the union itself. So we have the five appellations which qualifying for, not qualifying, they have joined the union. So more and more you will see these appellation coming in marketed as the Côte de Bordeaux itself. So give them a little bit of economy of scales in terms of marketing dollar. But you will see, let's say you see just purely the word Côte de Bordeaux, then it's probably then a blend for several of this Côte de Bordeaux, which then they will not take on a specific appellation, so they take on a more generic appellation. Okay? So this is the trademark you see, Côte de Bordeaux, and today we have one Côte de Bordeaux just to show you that this trademark exists in the market. Okay? And the map of Côte de Bordeaux. Now coming back, another aspect of Bordeaux that can be quite confusing, not for you guys certainly, but for people who just joined the so-called the interest group, the Bordeaux interest group, is this thing called cru classification. So now what exactly cru means growth, means it gives so-called the notions of what we call quality, not in that. But the concept of cru, if you study French wine in general, it differs from region to regions. So today we only look at what we call the Bordeaux region to understand this concept of cru. So cru started in 1855. I think all of you know that Napoleon wanted to showcase the French wines to the world during Paris Expo. Okay, and there are just too many wines. So you say let's only put up the best of the wine to the market, to the consumer, to the visitors to the expo itself. And the Chamber of Courtier, of Paris was being tasked really to put together something to market. So that task was quite easy because it already existed at the time in the Medoc. They were selling wine. They know the prices of all the wines there. But unfortunately, it's only the Medoc region was involved. The rest was not that yet so-called popular when talking about Saint-Emilion and even from the Graf regions. So 1855, they formed the five groves to present the wine. So ever since then, just a very small change that happened. More or less, things remain the same. And some of them, especially I would say, some of the vine vineyards and things were just milking a little bit of the status they have earned. Other people were working very hard and to improve their wine, to keep up to the standard. But you can only just keep up to your standard, but you cannot cross classification. So that's why today we have what we call the super second, because they can never go on to become the first grove. And then Graf came in later to come up with their own classification because they have missed out in the 1855. And certainly for Saint-Emilion, they also decided to come up one just in time when Medoc celebrated the 100 years of the inauguration of the 1855 certification. That's why they started in 1955, just to ride a bit on the bandwagon in terms of promotion and things like that. And when everyone is enjoying, then we have what we call other people who have been left out, started to also band together and promote them under different cru names, like your cru bourgeois, for example. And some, those left out, start to look at coming together and form the cru artisan. But having said that, I think in terms of percentage of the wineries, don't go away and say that, wow, then every wineries in Bordeaux is now either one of the cru, belong to one of the cru system. It is not. Many wineries are still very much on their own. Okay, so Bordeaux has a lot to discover, and so please don't just focus on the cru winery, so to say. Now, so cru bourgeois, I think as of today, we have the figures runs around that 278, 280 kind of cru bourgeois in Bordeaux itself. And what they do is that they have to redraw the list every year. So I think that put a little bit of what we call so-called the wineries really of today that is qualified. Unless so Saint-Emilion is about every 10 years, but you look at some other cru classification is forever, so they don't change. So it's really up to you as a consumer, as a trader, to understand the system, how to bring the system across to your consumer, the way you are, depending on the wine that you're selling. Sometimes it's, in terms of sales, it's a matter of how you present the wine. Okay, so that's the Saint-Emilion classification. And certainly, I mean, we have two wineries that have joined, so-called the league of the best, Pavi and Angelus. That explains why sometimes people find a nice vintage, vintage of Pavi and Angelus and rather cheap. Well, at the time they were not as a not classified, but not in that category yet. So you will get your hands before that. The prices are cheaper, certainly compared to now when they have been upgraded. Okay, so Bordeaux is certainly open for business, like I say, and there we probably, I think Sopexa can send you a web link. You can even download something onto your handphone. So when you are there, you can play with it. There will be lectures and a lot of things that they have apps for that. So it's pretty interesting. Okay, so for today, now come to the most interesting part, the tasting. So we have 6 wines lined up for you. First, I think we explained the choice of the wine is, like I say, not so much of, I would say, putting in the top wine, but I think a wine that probably show you something, in terms of the trends and developments in Bordeaux. So the first wine that you will be tasting will be Chateau Sudiro 2011, which is a rather good vintage. Now, it is a Bordeaux Blanc Sec. I think every one of us knows Sudiro as one of the first growth sweet wine of Bordeaux. And why is it that Sudiro, I think for about almost 10 years, has started on to come up with a wine that is dry white. I think they recognize that also the trend in the future, sweet wine